in there. It's, all right, so a little bit since we went over it, but it'll be Lee Zhang Tower to kick things off. Geekay gets rid of Tracer, and Falcons gets rid of Baptiste here early on.
Yeah, keep an eye to see how that sort of manifests. You mentioned obviously with the Tracer being absent, definitely opens up for Venture, but you can just play Sim Soj here. And we know that Falcons are a Sojourn team. Maimone already hovering the Venture. Geekay Esports know it's going to be an uphill battle, but they're the kind of team that love the adversity. They love to be an underdog. And now, folks, let's get rowdy. Team Falcons and Geekay Esports throw down in our final quarterfinal.
Yeah, it'll be Venture on both sides. So I thought potentially this is where you could end up with these teams proper. You know, obviously can play Sim, but it looks so explosive, this team, with the Venture look. So let's see if they're able to make it work here against the Venture look.
And Merit's like broadly aware of where Lethal is, out towards the middle of the map.
Low.
Yeah, much of that Sojourn damage was committed into the Ramatra. Lethal realizes now Merit has a good sightline on him, so he's going to reposition, but everyone just got funneled into the choke where Proper was able to pop up from under them and tear them to shreds.
The damage that Merit is putting down from that off angle is crazy. I mean, Kuppa's basically like dead, half HP, put some shots into Lethal, UV as well. And when Geekay tries to run away, I mean, they're just met with someone and Proper standing right there. So Lethal going to ditch the Cassidy here, a little bit more burst potential with the Soldiers.
He doesn't want to be forced to fall back like he just did there into the rest. Like, he needs to play a bit more loose from them. Grouping up against a really good Venture is like a pretty inadvisable concept. CGK hoping that Falcons do the same thing, but Merit's always going to be an off angle. You can see him here just wrapping around that right-hand side. Filter playing a little bit solo right now, but of course can swift step back to the action where he's needed, and Proper sees an opportunity to go after Admiral here, but might have missed his window. Now sees UV low, he's handled for him, and Proper, well, he was a passenger princess in that fight.
I think, though, if they don't play a little bit closer with Kuppa, this is going to be a quick one, because Kuppa stays up and he pushes up to the point. And he actually does a really nice job of like rotating to the opposite side of his shield, give himself a little bit more protection, but just too long for the healing to come on through. UV almost dies here going through the choke.
Here comes the rush. Are Geekay going to be ready for this is the question. Kuppa knocked back briefly. Proper is in the middle of it, and he gets topped up nicely. That healing throughput increase because a Kitsune rush means that it's fairly straightforward for Fielder. Give everybody a little bit of the juice.
Geekay, I mean, you're like, all right, we might have an advantage in terms of sound barrier. You're worried about even getting it, though, right? 80% here.
I mean, Falcons are going so fast through this round, they're going to break the sound barrier themselves, Matt. There's just not been much game here from Geekay whatsoever.
This is rough, too. This is going to be a really crazy fight here over by the stairs.
Yeah. Pops up in between Kuppa and the rest of his backline. Tectonic Shock is popping. Kuppa wants to get to a safer location to maybe wait out some of this sound barrier. Admiral clapped. On one side it was a tech shock, the other was an overclock, and Merit just plugs one straight between his eyes. Lethal's going to struggle here. Kuppa with a drill rush finds the damage. It's just too easy. Someone's looking healthy here, even though he's in a 1 versus 3. Eventually he has to fall. Merit's going to come back in off that off-angle assignment, and here's Proper appearing with a flourish. Cops a left hook from Kuppa, though, and is taken out of the fight early. Merit, though, has other plans. He's going to work his way through Admiral, and Kuppa now is out at sea without a paddle screaming Wilson, but nobody's there to hear him.
Man.
It's 100-0 in our first round.
Come on.
Well, Matt, you ready for a short day, buddy?
I mean, Chio there on one side, putting some damage down, and Merit on the other. Those are fights you are not supposed to win if you are really anybody but Team Falcons. I mean, they just are able to pull these things out in unbelievable fashion. I mean,
the sheer fact that I think someone is in a 1 versus 3 solo annihilating has to buy a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But, you know, Proper and Merit are still alive. They're just playing their own fights. You see a lot of this skirmishing from Proper, the kind of player that can really be a loose end. We're going to have a Sim here. It's not committed to, of course, so likely a switch back in the Venture direction for Falcons.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit of an adjustment here for Geekay, right? It'll be Lethal starting the round off, playing the Sojourn, as opposed to the last round playing some Cassidy, where I know you need to see him come alive, pick up these railgun shots. That's one he would love to have back. Had an off angle, a clear shot on Method. Merit just missed.
Yeah, a small thing, honestly. Falcons TP out of spawn and are able to get into the middle of the map a little bit earlier. They have priority, we'll call it. Geekay have to try to find a way in off that bridge. Starts poorly and it ends in much the same fashion.
They barely get over the bridge. At that point, everybody is split there, so Geekay, how do you attack this, right? You don't have that like Sim mobility, right? Sim can close the gap, make it a little bit difficult to track down. With these two comps, you're going to exactly know where these fights are going to kick off. And obviously, you don't want to make it any easier for a team like Falcons to get reads.
Yeah, it's pretty face up. And that's exactly what Falcons want. Something that's a little predictable. Something that they can at least understand the parameters of. Kuffer's getting pounded here. Someone, though, taking his fair share of damage as well, as we see a regroup behind the shield for Geekay. Proper wants to work the flanks here, but doesn't want to overcommit quite yet. Chio's been picked up, though. Maimon looks like he just took matters into his own hands. But Chio being the first casualty, the rest of Falcons will topple.
And that's huge. I mean, if Maimon's able to get some of these kills, just kind of getting into that backline, that is massive.
It's the first Geekay cap of the map.
Yeah, and, no sound barrier for Chio. So, see though, they're going to be able to match like Kitsune Rush. It's a little bit of an advantage here for Geekay in terms of beat though.
Troubles and Vortex thrown in the midst of Falcons here. They've got to handle that first. Lethal, oh my goodness! Merit stands still a little too long perhaps, and Lethal's not the kind of player that's going to miss a golden opportunity like that. Build up with a self-Suzu, but hits a kunai onto Lethal, who's going to back away and quickly be topped up by UV. Prob's going to sort of take a beat here now with the Kitsune Rush in play. Someone doesn't want to get over aggressive into the tectonic shock, and it cuts through. Even with someone standing in the way, Maimon gets around him.
Well, it's a Kitsune Rush from UV, and we talk about sometimes, well, like inside of the rush, maybe you use the Annihilation, right? Put ticking damage down, and everybody wants to play inside of it. Tectonic Shock, another good ultimate to just kind of spam inside as players are trying to move through that Kitsune Rush. You see how low someone got as he moved up, and now Geekay takes the lead.
Yeah, it's a sound barrier here for Admiral, Matt, that I'm looking at. It's pretty important when these Annihilations come clashing together. Someone's going to step up here and again look to take that position. Maimon will be looking for flanking opportunities again here. You've got to be aware of that if you're Falcons. Keep your backsides safe. Someone sees Kuffer try and blow past him, but Kuffer doesn't really have the health to get away with this. This could be ugly. Tech shot for Proper sound barrier is belated, and Lethal is not able to be protected from this push. Now Proper can really pick his poison. Looking to maybe move away from Kuffer as someone's happy to tie the Ramatra up and hold on to his own annihilation. That is a tough fight for Geekay. Proper, of course, can extricate himself from the grasp of the holographic fishies and stay on solid ground.
And I get why Kuffa ends up using the Annihilation, trying to get it to 99. Now you just need one fight for victory here. You probably got 2, maybe 3 attempts at it. The bad part is Falcons are going to have their Annihilation, their Kitsune Rush to play behind here. And you see Proper.
Oh, he's so far forward.
But he's going to get a burrow. He's going to put some decent damage down here. He's going to back up here and get right behind that Ramatra shield.
And that splash damage, though, that Proper's able to get on the Venture is pretty terrifying in these kind of close quarters. Maimon ducks back, he's low. Drill rushes back towards the rest of his team, but Kuffer's also struggling. Ultraviolet tried to hit the panic button with the Kitsune Rush that came out, but Merit has the perfect off angle for him. And Kuffer doesn't last much longer, folks. Merit is stacking up the frags. Yeah, Geekay now are in trouble.
And you lose Maimon here at the end. Kuffa's going to go over to Hazard. Will be Lethal using the overclock from spawn. Seeing if he can pick up anybody here. And I don't know who's going to be able to get a touch. It might have to be Lethal. He's going to get through the window with some help of Admiral.
Now, of all people he's called on, and he even gets Chio on his way in, but it's really just a desperate grasp, a reach here for the point, but the tectonic shot from Maimon finds himself 3 off the Richter scale. It's the Welshman. And that has given Geekay away back into the round. Falcons, in fact, don't have the time to really contest this adequately. Ultraviolet handles someone. Chio tried to touch, but I don't think it's to be.
A nice move.
An even map we have.
One, it's incredible that Admiral and Lethal made it to the point. Lethal is able to get the slide right through the window with the help of Admiral and get a pick during it. Falls right after, but that allows Maimon to come back, use a tectonic shock. 3 that last fight with the tectonic shock is that gives Geekay an opportunity, Mitch, to kind of steal this map #1. It looked like it was all Falcons. So that's a massive clutch at the end from Geekay.
Merit here with a fantastic moment, but I really feel like the Venture players find this
wild.
map.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you are able to get to the point quickly with that high mobility. Already.
Hey, that's how you know they're having fun with it, right? They know, look, Falcons is the home team. We expect it. Let's lean into it a little bit. Let's have some fun.
Kaffa hits him with the universal symbol for I need the Heimlich stat. All right, we're going to keep going here over to Night Market now as GK find an unlikely round win there. MyMoon really stepping up, stepping forth, but Kaffa is already hammered.
And so much pressure on him. I just don't know how they're able to keep him upright.
Well, with the Lucio Kiri setup, it is quite challenging.
Yeah.
Sojourn's damage is pretty out of this world. Oh, my little 1-2 punch. Yeah, MyMoon, nothing he can do about that one.
And you notice even when Proper goes in deep, there's always like the Ramatra shield in position where he can like drill rush directly behind it. And you don't exactly just kind of want to run into someone, potentially with Nemesis form. They play this comp so well around those two.
Yeah, and you don't have to be fully committal as Venture. You stay burrowed, you realize you can't go in, you just turn yourself back around. Try again later. Get around the map pretty easily with that drill rush like we saw. Kaffa wants a fight here, looking behind his opposite number, and someone sees Merit in a bit of an odd position, but he gets a Suzu, and honestly, he's really hard to catch in that position.
And that Suzu may have actually kept Merit alive. He's quite low, and you could see it from a little bit when we were on with Kaffa. Admiral is up there on the high ground trying to chase on the Lucio. The Suzu comes in, and then Merit lands a railgun shot right into the Lucio of Geekay. Stops him in his tracks from hunting him down, so he'll be above 60% and counting now on the point here for Falcons. And Merit, I mean, he's just asleep as Mamo takes him out.
Yeah, heads up from Mamo, and he's able to wrap around Merit, maybe thinking because he had Chio close by, he'd be safe there. Not the case, not whatsoever. Mamo here, looking to get out of the vortex. Kitsune Rush is going to be committed to this fight by Falcons, which is an odd decision considering how short-handed they were. And that one kind of goes straight down the gurgler.
And it's a huge one for Geekay, right? Where you were in terms of percentage for Falcons, that goes their way. You're looking at like a last-ditch scenario here for Geekay, right? Sound barrier, you have that to match. You're going to have your Annihilation. Lethal comes alive on the Sojourn. You're in a spot where you can run this percentage up pretty quick.
Proper's hunting.
A huge early pick. That's a sound barrier, so you're not going to be able to use it.
And that's not ideal for Falcons. I mean, they'd be advised to hold on to everything right now. They get a sound barrier out of GK, which they've got to feel is at least a bit of consolation. Can the Falcons do more here? Someone's waiting for that mega health pack respawn, but in fact, it's a sound barrier that's committed because Falcons have all their players back now. They're going to go for this. And
nice vortex, though.
Yeah, they use that beat to get pretty close, though, and they picked off MyMoon. Dangerous times here for Lethal, and he knows it. He's able to handle himself quite well. His Proper was trying to take him out of the fight. Falcons now getting a little bit shaky. Now starting to lose their grip on this map.
So we saw it for like a brief second there, right? Sound barrier comes down from Falcons. Geekay, they completely disengage, and Kaffa has that Ravenous Vortex kind of spinning in the choke, and it slows them down and allows Geekay to keep backing up to the point by time they get into the point, a decent amount of that sound barrier overhealth is waned off, and then Kaffa's got the Annihilation to just tick them down.
That shock really defined that last round on Garden. We're a little bit the same here as MyMoon is getting close to his next one. Kaffa here should be able to walk away from this pretty easily. Just slowing someone down, forcing him to try and wade through molasses. MyMoon back to the point, doesn't want to get caught out in an extended flank fight against Proper, but he's popped up behind them. MyMoon with the tech shock down is going to let it go in just a second. Over onto the point as Kitsune Rush in play though. UV's low, got to be careful, but Proper's turned tail. He's trying to get out of there, and it's a full-scale rout for Falcons. They're in trouble. Sound barrier now committed by GK, and they know victory's within their grasp. Onto the point they push it. Chio is felled, and how about them apples, folks? Unreal stuff from Geekay Esports. Falcons in drips and drabs may have underestimated their opponents, and it's come back to bite them in our first map.
I don't know if they turned the crowd noise down for us or what, but it sounds a little quieter in there after that first map. Is Kaffa letting them know that Geekay is not going to be a walkover. I thought, we talk a lot about Venture and how good they can be in terms of like getting into backlines. And we rarely, when we talk about Venture as a hero, like, the ultimate is good, but it's never really kind of the key thing we talk about. The tectonic shots from Mimo were actually really sick and effective during that game, right? There was that one moment he came with like 3 in a row there towards the end into the rush. I mean, sick stuff from him.
You can't body block it. When you're playing Ramatra into these setups and you're moving up a choke or like across a bridge, as we saw quite often on Garden, you can't protect your team from the damage that sort of cascades through you. You're trying to stand in front, you're trying to block that, but it's not an ability that cares about line of sight in the same way as some others. So really nice work here from Lethal quite a few times. Prop is pulling up on his front doorstep with a bag of effluent, hoping to drop it, light it on fire, and walk away, and he's ready just to slap him back. Hitting some really nice railgun headshots. Oh, man. The villains, self-dubbed Geekay Esports, and they have turned up here to the STC Esports Arena to spoil some days, man. That's a good start for them. After that first round, I uttered it. We thought Falcons would have had this one in the bag. That's some resilience from our NA squad. When
you are in this type of situation for Geekay, I mean, if you have the right team around and the right personalities, I mean, this is an ideal scenario, right? I mean, you're loose, you're playing with some house money. All the pressure's on Falcons, right? The club championship, this event, you're looking at the team, Crazy Raccoon, they're already out. You're like, oh, this should be just a walk in the park. They're the home team. It is a lot of pressure on Falcons here in Geekay. I mean, you steal that map number 1, even more pressure now on Falcons.
Of course, standing behind that GK lineup is Coach Gultek, who, alongside Wheats, has been able to really whip this team into shape. He had a stint on the Toronto Defiant roster as an assistant coach, and before that, Runaway and O2 Blast. Absolutely a strong resume to get to the helm of this NA team. Sparkly looking a little bit pensive after the way that first map went for Falcons. And remember, they target the Baptiste here. Look to make it harder for Ultraviolet to have as great a level of impact. And we mentioned, Cuff is getting blown up. He's taking a lot of damage early. It's really hard to keep him in the fight. But man, like for me, it's the way Mimone took over that Garden round was really nice to watch. Lethal looking solid. Didn't have to be server admin on this particular map though. Just really solid fundamentals out of GK.
Where will Falcons take us? A rare Falcons map pick. Geekay, they end up using the Tracer Band in map number 1. You can see why. Maybe throws off Team Falcons just a little bit. If you know Mimone wants to play Venture, maybe you don't exactly want to play the Sim without the BAP, right? So makes it a little bit odd. It looks like we know the bands at this point. So Falcons, they will get rid of Venture, which is quite interesting because Proper is also extremely good on Venture, but
I think they want to play Sim here.
Sim, or you get a Tracer head-to-head, right? You feel good about either of those. Interesting enough, though, Geekay gets rid of the Ramatra, so Ramatra's a hero that everybody loves combining with the Sim, so especially on New Junk City, a rush-style map. This one's going to produce a little bit of a different result in terms of comps.
And the Ramatra's like a Cuffer signature hero as well. He really loves to play that, but he found much of his success on the Hazard. I think that was like a pick in NA that he was really able to make his own, while a number of teams were later in adopting that. Guys looking really good. I mean, guys come a long way since that sort of World Cup a couple of years ago, where very green Team Australia was sort of pedaled out there and expected to give their all. Guy has really come of age here, of course, and now is in the captain's chair on this GK team.
And it feels like for Geekay, you had to have an idea that maybe they would target Venture, right? Especially if you win a map utilizing the hero. That you had to have some type of counter, right? If they're going to get rid of Venture and they're going to go either Tracer or Sim, what's your go-to option? You talk about Hazard. Is there a world in which Maga kind of returns to some fanfare here, right? With no Ramatra, let's say they play Sim, what are you going to play with it? Maybe like it's the Arisa, something along those lines. You could play, I guess, Hazard with it as well. So potentially an opportunity for some different tanks to sneak on through.
And I think that as strong as GK were out in that North American region, I think if you're Falcons, you consider a loss in this series to be unthinkable. It's unthinkable. I think after that first map now, realizing they've absolutely got to double down here. And I know they offer all due respect over towards this team, but they've got to have felt like not having to go up against an EMEA or another South Korean roster was favorable for them.
Yeah.
I feel like the wind's at their back a little bit. Now, though, they're going to have to work their way uphill. Down a map in this series, they choose to take the new Junk City with Venture and Ramatra unavailable for selection.
Well, it looks like for Geekay, this is a comp. Maybe it is May that they go with in combo with that Hazard. You have the BAP still in the mix here, right? That is an ultraviolet special. For Falcons, could be the Orisa. I know with the Ramatra gun, we've seen Falcons play a ton of Ramatra so far this event, where the Orisa can be pretty good at like dislodging the Hazard, right? The spear spin, the interrupts, right? It could be very difficult to play into.
Not always easy though, as Orisa, if the gameplay leaves you behind to command that attention. Passive just goes over your head. I mean, we saw what Quartz was able to do on this map with the Cassidy Lethal, also a dab hand at the 6-shooter. Tracer and Soj for Falcons.
Well, if you can get
it's so interesting. Okay! All right, out of nowhere, Lethal's able to pick Proper off. Not a good start here for Falcons. The Turk issues a stern challenge right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get a May wall, right? Separate with it like the Orisa or something along those lines. You get Kuffa right in position on the Hazard. It'll take one player out. Massive advantage. And look, Proper's tremendous on Tracer. If Lethal can just keep him from dominating the game, right? You're in a good spot.
Yeah, contain him, I think, would be the goal. If you can outplay him, just dominate him, that's a different story. All right, Mimonia on the May. Tough job, and we rarely see this pick on this map, honestly. Merit just able to punish at that medium range now as Ultraviolet's defensive architecture starting to be chewed through. That flashbang did not hit as Merit slid past, and Lethal is downed easily.
But UV uses the Amp Matrix up on the high ground. It'll actually keep Kuffa alive for just a bit longer. So you're going to get up to like about 80-85% here. You have some other players funneling on in. And
good
then
start.
will it end up flipping? But yeah, pretty good start. They switch off of the May. We'll see if they go back to it. Look like they maybe going back to spawn. No, going on the long flank now. But like you mentioned, the May is a little bit odd, right? If you don't play up on that high ground and play like near the chokes, where they were playing at such a distance, you're not going to get much value out of it. So May as well match the Tracer.
I think like when we get to stages like Refinery or even Junkyard, like it looks pretty decent, right, to cut off those avenues of approach. Deadeye is up here for Lethal. Downpour for Kuffa, but a lot of scary ultimates on the Falcon side of things. So first, Lethal tries to make some space. Let Kuffa at least get onto the point and start this cap. That's given them some time, and now Falcons have to contest, leaving Lethal in a pretty good position to play from. He's got to respect, though, what Merit can do now with an overclock in play. Ultraviolet trying to dodge and dive away, but will be brought down by Proper on this Tracer. Sound barrier committed by GK anyway, but it's a very unconvincing showing for them. This will let Falcons potentially take this flashpoint away.
Yeah, maybe they thought that sound barrier was going to come down in time to save UV, but it does not, so it kind of goes for waste there. Potentially it's also, it's final fight on that point. It's Falcons kicking things off here on New Junk City with a point win.
So GK good start with the first fight. They stall out for an extended period of time. They use an Amp Matrix to that effect. They hope that maybe they can 100-0 it. It doesn't work out, and then their plan B just isn't compelling enough.
And now we're getting Sim. So we're getting Sim from Geekay. So it'll be the Sim with a BAP in the mix. And you're also going to have Hazard. So a little bit of a different look with Ramatra out.
Kuffa here can mantle. And again, you'll notice he's mostly ignoring someone. It's just not the kind of matchup he wants to opt into at all.
That's the immortality field right away.
Yeah, burned very early, Matt, before the rubber really hits the road in this fight. That key cooldown is, what? Oh man, that is nasty stuff. Proper caught out in the open, and Lethal goes to work on Merit. GK don't even get punished for using that immortality field early. That is just straight up winning in a neutral fight.
And I was about to say, I don't really love, Lethal on the Cassie at the moment, because you see how good the Sojourn is at just burning the armor of the Hazard, like Kappa getting extremely low. Although the Immortality field has to come out really early to save him, it's still good enough to do so. And then being able to work onto the point proper, I think, was just kind of working over towards that mini, and as he kind of went across, maybe needed a step before another blink was active and just got picked off.
I really feel like Cassidy here at the mid-season championship match has looked better than ever, especially in his ability to control those flankers. All right, well, Fortify ×2 as we see someone dive into the midst. Sucks them all in. And Falcons really able to dispatch those hindered GK players. Kaffer heads for the hills.
Everybody loves watching Kuffa jump off the side as a nice spear from someone onto Lethal. And then after that, the Terror Surge, and Lethal's actually able to roll out of it. He tries to get a hinder up on Cheeto above him. Not able to hit it, and then Falcons comes up with the rest of the picks. Says, see, Maimon has ult here. You're going to use it to split the point.
Okay. High ground not being contested though. GK had to give that up in order to play the point, which is dangerous here, especially when Merit has his pick of the litter in terms of targets, and there's Ultraviolet trying to cross, and even with a symbol in play, he gets brought down. That's the whole reason for you to deploy that ultimate in this fight. It's well and truly expired now, as has the life force of GK. They've lost the vim and vigor they displayed in the first map and on the first flashpoint. Now they're going to get staggered out. Excruciatingly lethal. Will have to exit the old-fashioned way.
It's brutal. I mean, I think you're going to have to give up this point here if you're Geekay. No way you're going to do it without your star hit scan, as Lethal just gets staggered for what feels like forever. And Falcons on the verge of a really fast flashpoint here. You'll have a beat mirror here. Advantage with UV with this Amp Matrix, but you can also just dodge a lot of this if you're Falcons.
You can LOS it for the duration. Bomb flats, of course, our next flashpoint location.
Or you can use your beat, just push straight past it if it's the first thing out.
Gonna be GK start with priority. Someone stepping up now. Sound barrier going to be thrown in by Chia, but Maimon got picked off. So very good start here for Falcons. Lost fielder here. Lethal looking dangerous. Force an early recall. Oh, no. Okay. Able to blink. Stay back on the map here. Gets rid of the immortality field and then comes back for Lethal. Good recovery there from the young gun. The Merit realizes there's no more fight to be had here.
All right. So Geekay, that is quite massive, Mitch, right? They use that sound barrier a little bit early. The Amp Matrix comes down. They lose Maimon first, right? He falls on the sim, and that's a lot of their ramp damage, but Lethal comes up with some huge picks. Kappa able to cycle through those cooldowns, now matching the Orisa. And Geekay, although they're down 2 flashpoints, they've been in a decent amount of these.
Looking much better now. Bit of an ultimate trough, though, for them, so these first picks become that much more important when your enemy has a larger arsenal to bring to bear. GK try and go after a target called out on the side. It's actually Merit gets hit with a flashbang. Someone with a Terror Surge committed. Kuffa wants to try and back around and notices that Fielder can swift step away. And in the meantime, classic misdirection. Proper's able to get into the back line while GK are distracted chasing after a Kiriko.
It feels like Geekay gets off to a good start, and then once Falcons gets it and starts rolling, it is all Team Falcons. As you lose Kappa here towards the end. Looks like the rest of Geekay gonna work their way back to the spawn. So for Falcons, right, if they want to take an early fight, they don't really have anything to work with outside of this rush. I expect you to see like a Terror Surge, potentially even Lethal with the Deadeye while while they have that Kitsune rush rolling. So see if Falcons decides to take this fight early.
Maimon's up on the left side here as GK look to try and work around the outside of the point to begin with. Okay. Ultraviolet trying to fight proper there around that amplification matrix. Immortality field still in hand for Ultraviolet, though, as Kuffa realizes that into the Kitsune rush is not where he wants to be diving. Backs up for a moment, but this is time for Falcons to get closer to a map win. Lethal knocked out of the Deadeye, and I don't think Proper cared at all about the flashbang when he had the sound barrier protecting him. Amaral beats down only for 2 players, though, and that is just not going to be enough. He tries to skitter away and gets past that disruptor shot, hiding in the corner now, spotted out by Merit. Proper comes to call, and when he knocks at your door, you best be opening it up. Team Falcons now have been able to bring GK down to earth after an unlikely first map win, evening up the series.
And Geekay had an opportunity there, Mitch, in that final fight. Just a little bit too slow to act. Chio with a sound barrier, then they push on through. They get that first pick. I think the scariest part for Geekay, though, is like, and you know, look, you have Lethal playing a lot of Cassidy. Merit is just going off on the Sojourn. I mean, putting down so much damage, specifically on Akuffa. I think Lethal doing a good job of like preventing Proper from just running through the back line, but it just gives them a big disadvantage, though, in terms of tank damage.
And this is what happens, though, when the Tracer ban isn't in effect. GK have to match Proper. Mimoun takes up the Tracer duties. But time and time again, we've noticed GK chasing after an individual target. Everyone sees a Kiriko with cooldowns up. They want to go after them, and Proper gets in there and just starts tearing them to shreds. Tough pill to swallow here for GK, but it's still a tied-up series. Or in map selection for map 3, so we're going to head to a break, but don't go anywhere. This series has surely got legs.
Level up your gaming experience with over 8 billion playlists, only on Spotify, the official audio streaming partner for the 2025 Esports World Cup.
What's up, everybody? Danny Lim here. It's Team Falcons versus GK, and we got a packed house. Look at all these fans for Team Falcons. Let's go, Falcons! One more time!
Let's go, Falcons! Let's go, Falcons! Let's go, Falcons!
I mean, as you can see, I mean, the energy is crazy. Falcons, you have to win this now. You have to win. Let's go, Falcons!
Let's go, Falcons! Let's go, Falcons!
Well, it looks like GK come back down to earth, but with how crushing that defeat on New Junk City was, it looked like it was more like Saturn's gravity. They got smushed by Team Falcons, who came out with a vengeance in that map. And Proper was back on the Tracer, and he made sure we all knew it.
Yeah, it'll be a Geekay map pick, so they will take us to Circuit. They'll ban Lucio. They clearly want to run like a double flex backline, something we've seen from them in the past. Falcons, they get rid of the hazard. I wouldn't really kind of pin Circuit as like a hazard map, right? But you know, maybe they're worried about potentially something like that coming out here and want to force more of like a Ramatra or a Risa game.
Yeah, I think they probably just don't want any unexpected surprises coming into a map like this. They know if GK have picked Circuit, and a number of teams have done this after losing a map in their series, they have something a little bit gimmicky to bring in. As that is said, though, probably expect to see like Ramatra. I like the May look here. I mean, we've seen that from Geekay. I mean, they were playing on New Junk City. They really like to put Maimone in the May position. And a preference maybe to not lean too heavily on the Tracer play, his North American squad.
And we'll see Merit potentially, yeah, he's going to pick up the Cassidy, so.
This is the Lifeweaver map, by the way, for Geekay.
This is a map that we could get the Chris Puckett Lifeweaver, like he was hyping up there, potentially on the desk. But we'll have to probably wait though. I mean, I guess you could run on offense, but we see it more on defense, using that pedal to give a little bit of a high ground.
Here we go now, Geekay on the attack side. This is only fair that Falcons would choose defense, knowing they're going into a map like this. Cassidy for Merit, something to keep tabs on, as it was Lethal really trying to insist on Cassidy on that previous map. And
all right, so we're going to see the Weaver here on offense. So typically this is something you see on defense, where teams will like run this, get a little bit more high ground. Lifeweaver, just the issue with Lifeweaver isn't really just like the raw healing numbers. It's just like the lack of utility as compared to something like a Kiri.
Yeah, I mean, his throughput is very good. He does a lot of healing. He has okay lateral mobility, but is definitely very diveable. However, that's not something Falcons are really set up to do with this composition. This is Circuit Royal. So we go more towards those poke styles. And Life Grip, to get Kuffer out of trouble, or anybody that's, suffers scrutiny or gets low, can be really clutch in a pinch. So you've got to be wary of it. It's definitely a hero that has his niches. In the back line there, Proper got a little bit low from some incidental poke damage coming his way, and Kuffer is starting to bully the right side of the map. Merit outranged by Lethal on the hit scan roll, suffers at the hands of the Soj.
Yeah, and I'm happy to see Lethal on the Sojourn, and we talked a little bit about it towards the end of New Junk City. Someone does take out Maimone, so you do end up losing this May wall here that potentially could split someone off, and you've already used your Amp Matrix, so you might have to actually back out of this. If you are Geekay. Is Merit now, he's going to ditch Cassidy. Feels like he needs to match the firepower of the Soldier, and I completely agree.
Tree of Life available for Admiral. Not only does it block that line of sight, but the pulsing heal is pretty important for the long fight sustain. Something that Ramatra very much is happy to have on his side as Kuffer starts to build towards that annihilation. There's the Tree of Life, starting to block the way a little bit. Lethal has to work around the edges of it. Very healthy Geekay right now. A lot of healing for them, whereas Fielder has to fight tooth and nail to keep his team standing. He himself takes a railgun from long range and has to duck out of LOS. But he's kept Falcon standing. Now for the annihilation, the next challenge is something Merit can't stand up to. Orbit Array comes in from Chio, and Falcons know they've got to make use of this. A good disengage though from Geekay. Can't save Ultraviolet from Proper's questing ice spikes. Fielder finds yet another Suzu opportunity, but Proper could not get out of the blizzard from Maimone, setting up a kill on the enemy May, and Lethal settled in on this flanking high ground. Nice shot on the Fielder.
Yeah, they just had that one Suzu. They used it onto someone, obviously, to get him out of the blizzard. Not able to help Proper, but this is not over to Geekay just yet.
The Juno heals, man.
Yes, someone just playing in the corner. The Juno Kiri heals are still extremely good. It's going to need a big amount of burst damage like that from Lethal to finish him off. Took a little bit to materialize, but that's the first point for Geekay.
We saw Annihilation's traded. Kuffer gets an elimination with that instantly. If it's not for Proper finding a kill, it would have been ugly, I think, for Falcons. He himself gets caught out in the blizzard, right? Without Lucio on this map, you don't have the speed to get out of those May ults. You've got to find another way to do it. And when May Wall can trap you inside of it, those blizzards are almost always devastating.
And you think that's another reason for the life grip, right? You can even pedal up, grip people, over the other side of the walls as well if somebody gets caught. Oh, nice play here. Ultraviolet jumps up from the low ground here with the Exo Boots and drops the Amp Matrix, and they were caught off guard.
The May Wall buys a couple of seconds for Falcons to get back, but it's not enough time as Kuffer just barges straight through. Big, bad, and he means business now. He throws a vortex in the direction of the rest of Falcons, but the fight is long since already won.
I mean, this is great for Geekay. I mean, you might get this second checkpoint out of this with a tremendous amount of time saved, considering it took them a while on their point A. Someone pushes up. It's a May wall here that comes in from Maimone. That's going to secure the second checkpoint. Geekay looking pretty good here on offense.
Very good time here for GK after a slower start. They've got to be happy with how that second phase went for them now.
Oh, goodbye.
That annihilation was very short-lived, and now is a thing of the past. Merritt pops Cuffer as he tries to go super aggro on that high ground. And where was the rest of his team supposed to be?
Maybe he thought he was getting life gripped out. The life grip actually comes for UV, and Cuffer there up on the high ground needs to start throwing some fists with his annihilation. And I mean, Merritt just deletes him there with the overclock.
Admiral ducks back here a moment. Tree of Life now deployed. Cuffer gets the healing that he needs. Look at Fielder on that high ground off angle. Gets the Kitsune rush, but someone is frozen solid. Blizzard, a problem now. Proper's going to try and deploy his, but someone and Chio are already out of the picture. It was all Merritt could do to find the May with that disruptor shot. But in general, Falcons are struggling in this matchup of compositions.
Yeah, dude, and that Tree of Life takes up a lot of space, right? It allows them to kind of like split off some of that choke and move on in behind it, and they're never able, because like you can burst it down, like the tree has the HP bar. You probably need something like the overclock though, right? And you don't have it at that time, so the tree goes for a really long pulse.
My Mode has that Blizzard ready. The exact thing that could answer someone if he tries to go aggressive with this annihilation. He knows he kind of has to play around it. But someone also has to try and get himself forward, not give too much more free cart progress. My Mode's looking for the Blizzard. It's going to be hard to deny him here. The body block is good and someone is frozen stiff. He knows there's no need to go for the annihilation. There's no good reason for it. But My Mode has to ice block. Here's the orbital race. Someone might be able to go aggressive now. And look who's caught on the wrong side of the wall. Ultraviolet loses that immortality field, committed to keep them standing. And My Mode's able to freeze someone without the Blizzard. Those perks coming in awfully handy. Someone looking for a target, any target. Somebody give me something to shoot at. And instead, he is their subject of scrutiny. And he knows he's done, cooked on the outside of the map, whereas Cuffer now's in the midst of things with the annihilation ticking. Another Nemesis form taken up to force the ice blocker proper, and he has to desperately go for the Blizzard, but he has no block of his own. It doesn't matter, the Suzu's going to keep him alive for the time being. Heads up there from Fielder, wall to try and block GK off. But this isn't convincing enough from Falcons. They need a full fight win.
Yeah, and you have another Tree of Life here for Admiral as you get close to the choke. I really love the way you use the life grip there to help Cuffer, and then before to keep My Mode alive. It's Cuffer quite low, gonna have to use that life grip on him, use the healing to keep the May up.
This is fine for GK though. They've got a pretty decent standing here with over a minute left in the round. Fielder's taking a bit of damage already. Here comes that Tree of Life. Now it's all about keeping Merritt standing, and he pays it back in full. Ultraviolet falls, and that is a tough shot to hit with your opponent up on the high ground. Cuffer's going to back away. Lethal's in a great spot, though. Nicely done to follow up on that disruptor shot. The Tree of Life dissipates, and it's done its job by Mode committing a Blizzard, but there isn't enough follower damage here to try and find that kill on someone until Lethal gets involved. And now he's in the mix, throws himself into the eye of the storm. Disruptor shot thrown down, forces Fielder off to the side, and Chio has to duck and dodge behind that pillar, back away and try and build that orbital ray, because it's getting tough for Falcons. They're losing their grip on this defense. Merritt tries to get back here on the Venture, which we rarely see from him. Will it be enough?
We'll see if he actually stays on it. It looks like for now he is. And, he just gets picked by UV.
Orbital ray's deployed.
Orbital ray, you're going to have to back up here if you're Cuffer. You're going to have the annihilation.
Guys, it's getting tough though. Cuffer goes pretty low. Someone's going to pop his annihilation as well. Cuffer knows he has the healing. It's coming at him from that high ground there. The Life Weaver is still in play, and an Matrix from Ultraviolet means that he can keep his tank standing. There's a shot from My Mode. The endothermic blaster deals with Fielder, and look how far up Lethal has pushed. He knows just how close GK are to finishing the map. Blizzard here on the Cuffer. Nobody there to bring him down after the fact that when someone's getting straight up bullied. Suzu there to shrug off the slow, but everybody surrounds the Ramatra. Merritt would be the last player standing. Another Tree of Life amid the verdant fields. GK dance around the maypole here at the end of the map. Should be a couple moments in overtime is where they're looking to try and get it home. Fielder steps up. Suzu's himself proper now under extreme scrutiny, trying to dodge and dock away. And it's not going to do it. Chio fades on in there one after another. Falcons hoping to find a way to get a foothold on this defense, but that's a cheeky pedal that sends him skyward. Merritt should be the last line of defense here. Recalls out, tries to keep it going, but it's all for naught. Falcons have to concede that final checkpoint.
Man, a Life Weaver definitely kind of came into play there a few times. Coming up clutch. It's a support. I would say this is the only map we've seen teams play it really, since Lifeweaver's entered the game, to be quite honest, like, he hasn't really seen a lot of play at the pro level. It's really just been here on circuit by teams and niche strategies. But they made great use of the Lifeweaver there.
Yeah, it certainly requires a very specific set of conditions to succeed. But when there's no dive component to these compositions, where both teams are really playing that poke style around rush tanks, you can find success with it, and it's still very valid on the defense side, as we're about to see.
Well, I think you would make the argument it's better on the defensive side than like offense, right? Like, we've seen teams played on this map on defense and then not on the offensive side. That's why, at least for me, I was like, oh, you know what? We obviously haven't cast that much NA and didn't get to see Geekay here at this event. Things have changed between now and the last OWCS games. It feels like a month or so ago. But to play it on the offensive side and defense here, a lot of trust in Admiral to pilot the hero, and honestly, he looked awesome.
And honestly, we know a lot of teams come into this map, or when they pick this map, there's a specific strategy, a small gimmick that they want to work around. It's anything but cheesy here for GK. They got to be happy with the map completion. Falcons are likely to hit them hard and fast, though. This Orisa composition. Merit has been playing mystery heroes a little bit here, Matt, trying to find a comfortable fit. It's going to be the Freya option this time.
I would also say it's pretty fair to say that Chio's best hero is Lucio by far, right? So taking that away from him, obviously can handle Juno, but you really think of Lucio when you think of Chio.
A war of attrition. The Falcons are just far more confident in here in these front lines. For all Admiral's healing output, he's not able to keep them standing.
And maybe the Freya here gives them a better option, right? Because you're putting down some damage at range, right? A little bit more of a long-range threat to the Lifeweaver. Lifeweaver could be pretty squishy. You also have a change here where they're going to bring in the Orisa, right? So not going to have that Ram head-to-head.
Yeah, Lethal aware that in his absence, Falcons likely would have taken up that flanking stairs position. Proper needs to be dug out of there. If they could find a way to pressure Proper low and get an early ice block out of the May, they could then go aggressively in that direction, but healing's been a little bit too robust from Falcons. Now, though, they're going to try and take this head on Proper. As the ice block drawn out, Kuffer throws the Vortex behind. He doesn't want to let this May get out for free. Suzu, though, on Proper. Kuffer with a big health pull. Knows he can hang around, but that ice wall makes it impossible for him to pursue, and now he's going to try and contest the card. Kuffer now needs to put himself where the objective is and can't afford to go up to Proper, so he's probably uncontested there. Nicely done by Ultraviolet. Finally, someone is brought to heal.
And they use a Kitsune rush there for Falcons, and I think they believe that they can actually get the kill on a Kuffa, because Kuffa's in a very on spot like you were talking about. But when they round the corner after the rush, it's UV standing there with the Amp Matrix, and someone just barrels his head right into it.
Back to the
like
board.
If you're Geekay, push up, right? There's no shield to protect these players coming around the corner until that perk is available for someone. I think try and pressure them out.
It's just so hard to kill the Ramatra now with the Lifeweaver in play. The life grip comes down. GK took this space for free.
Well, that was the Blizzard, and then a nice pedal to lift them up.
Yeah, beautifully done. That is denied, and now there's going to be a Tree of Life in play. This is getting a little bit scary for someone who's now going to commit his own ultimate. Pulsar torpedoes are going to have to be enough to keep him standing, and someone was able to get Maimone there, but has to give up his life, and that's not a trade you can afford to take if you're Team Falcons. Kuffer knows his advantage in this fight. Will push up and control this corner, force Falcons to wait for their tank to return, and we're under the 90-second mark for Falcons.
As Maimone looks like he's going to be coming back on Venture here. Is Fielder and Proper off to the side. You're going to lose both. I mean, that is horrific there for Falcons. I mean, now you're going to be like, what, 45 seconds or, even maybe less when the next fight kicks off around that payload. And UV is going to have that Amp Matrix yet again. A little bit of a blunder there. So they're going to go Team Falcons. So Proper is going to go Venture. And they're going to play Zarya. So Zarya we see a little bit on this map as well. The bubble's going to be so good for the Venture.
But it does always feel like a little bit of desperation. Yes, there's a lot of charge to be farmed off of a Venture that gets a bubble. But it takes a bit to get all these moving parts working, and Proper is very, very deep. It's Merido with the bowler shot from long range. Catches out Ultraviolet, deals with an Immortality Field and the Baptiste all in one fell swoop. And finally, Falcons find the Brawl formula to get them this first checkpoint.
Not the end of the world, though, for Geekay. if you're Geekay, you need to just kind of get composed.
Oh my.
Recenter at the moment. They're going to try and attack this, though, yet again. Lethal jumps on, get us into OT, and Kuppa's going to come down on the Doom. Not going to make much out of this, though. UB decides to end up using the Amp Matrix here, too.
Switch to Doomfist, likely just to bleed a little bit of extra clock. Falcons knew they'd have to commit in order to get that checkpoint.
And if you're Geekay, you know, right? You bled so much clock. The discussion right now is like, if they win one fight here, they are in a fantastic spot, right? Win one fight, push the payload back, that uphill, you probably get 2 more fights after that one, and then they're in OT. I mean, they're going to be in OT for a lot of that. So really, you're just focused on this first fight of your Geekay.
Tree of Life is absolutely going to be a key player in this next fight. Geekay set the line of scrimmage pretty far forward here. Drill rush back by Proper, doesn't want to be too close to the fists of Ramatra in Nemesis form. Lethal now stuck with the bolt, but he's going to be ready now to go with an overclock. It's an orbital ray in play. Merit's looking pretty succulent up there, but Proper only has eyes for the Sojourn. Geekay already full-scale retreat for them now. They don't want to commit any more to this fight. They still hold on to the Lifeweaver ultimate as well.
You might be able to get back out and challenge this here behind this tree, but that's your overclock there. You're not able to keep Lethal up. Oh, and they catch out Proper. That's huge.
He went in with a Zarya bubble, but perhaps was just overconfident. It didn't last long. Didn't keep him protected.
I think he went in, and then the tree came down, and everybody else was like, we have to back up. We're not fighting it. And you just give him up. So at that point, right, you're just giving up that fight of your Falcons. But Falcons, they're up against the clock here.
There's a Graviton Surge now for someone. I feel like I've maybe never even uttered those collection of words, I'll be honest. Been a long time, if that. Up the stairs we go, good charge on someone as well. Wants to try and surge ahead. Suzu expended, also a bubble thrown out. Someone still has one for himself here, should he require it. But the Amp Matrix, it has to be respected. So Geekay using each and every one of these ultimates to levy attacks on Falcons, force them to take their time, to step back, and now they've got to go. They know they have to try and take the objective here. Someone steps up, looking for the backline. Geekay very wary of this Graviton Surge, and they split. Kuffa off to the left. In the back corner, you can see Lethal there, and there's a grab thrown in. It's 3. Pedal, though, might have saved him. Bowler shot comes in, but Geekay able to withstand that old combo and stay allowed to fight. What an immortality field there from Ultraviolet, and now they're fighting fit. Field has been taken down. Mo's in no hurry to move out into the open. It's Kuffa to try and hold this space, but he's low. It doesn't matter. He's bought enough time for Lethal to get rid of someone, and the life grip comes in on Kuffa, keeps him standing in. Now the Annihilation will pick onto his foes. Orbital Ray completely eclipsed here by the radius of Geekay as the Tree of Life keeps him sheltered. Healing still comes through, and Merit's trying to pilot this off angle, but Proper's going low and deep. Fielder went through the Suzu, and he found 1 kill, and that's not enough. What are we witnessing here? They can't even believe it themselves.
They look at Admiral, and they're all just like, you are so good. Dude, the Lifeweaver play from Admiral was insane there on that map. A little bit of a pocket pick there for Geekay. What unbelievable support play. I mean, the life grip there towards the end, like you mentioned, the tree. Sick play from Geekay Esports.
And conversely, this Juno Kiriko composition from Falcons left a little bit to be desired. Kuffa looked confident in that Ramatra matchup. Lethal was hitting his shots when he had to. The blizzards that came in from both sides, but Maimone's especially making it hard for someone to play that brand of up-tempo Overwatch. He needs to assert himself in this game.
When was the last time? I mean, we are 1 game away from not having Falcons and Crazy Raccoon on Sunday. That is a wild world if that most certainly happens. Let's go to Puckett to hear him and the boys' thoughts.
And Johnny, and now you can hear me in the arena. How's everybody doing? Good games? I think they're liking it so far. The Falcons unfortunately fell in that last one, to the joy of the folks over here cheering for Geekay. Did you think we'd see Geekay fans all the way out in Riyadh?
I'm quite honestly surprised. I mean, the fans showing it up for Geekay on the other side of the arena right here, and they are amped up. You can see the energy on the players as well. From the get-go, players like Kaffa, you know, very emotional back in Champions Clash when they did upsets with Nightmare. Now here for GK as well. He knows how to inspire his teammates, and it's making a difference.
Avril, I gotta ask you about the Lifeweaver, right? It's a meme in most cases whenever I see it thrown in. These guys made it work. How's that happen?
Everyone thinks it's a meme, but this is the one team in the world that I can see actually play the Lifeweaver. Remember, the BAP is important as well. More important than that, they had a Lucio ban here. What does a Lucio ban do? It protects both those heroes in the support line. It denies the high-speed gameplay that you want to see out of Falcons. Typically, when you look at North America, Team Liquid has faced up against GK a number of times. They played into the Lifeweaver BAP a number of times. You might see someone like Tree play towards Hanzo. Great hero for a player named Tree, by the way. That's some Team Liquid have kind of dealt with this composition in the past, but right now, I don't think Falcons are prepared to play against the Weaver. Someone goes Zarya, I'm just not sure that's the right hero at all.
Johnny, I'm looking at the plays from game number 1, and I was up in the play round with the Gatos Guapos, the handsome cats. They were saying, hey, let's just call the shuttle until this happened. GK takes the second round, they take the third round in the first game, they cancel the shuttle, and they tell me to lock in. How far can this series go?
I actually think GK are in a really good position right now to close out this series because they won that control map with the Tracer ban, which crucially meant that they get losers pick in at least 2 following maps, and they are on a bit of a time limit here. There are a lot of maps in the pool that favor Falcons, but if GK can get the right picks, they're in a really good position. The way they closed out that circuit Riyadh with the Lifeweaver and Baptiste, that was another fantastic performance by GK.
I just heard someone yell, get exposed, Falcon. Should we expose Avril as we show the true height? Come on up, Johnny, to the same step.
All right,
now that we're all on the same playing field, Avril, what should we expect? How do Falcons even this out at 2-2?
I mean, Lifeweaver ban is still available to come on through, so that's always going to be something. Hybrid is still available in the map pool as well, so you may have to start considering that one. But at the moment, you have to consider that Tracer is going to be available. One of the bans that actually did come through early on was the Tracer ban against Proper on map 1. And you saw GK win that map as well. So a lot of the very impactful bans might be gone now against the side of Falcons. One thing they haven't done a lot of is Falcons haven't played too much Symmetry yet. We know they can do that. We know that's one of their specialties. They're still hiding it. It might be time to bring it out.
We got 2 minutes left here before the players retake the stage. The fans are on their feet. It has been a blast here in the arena, and for good reason. So many highlights. If you could pick one of the 4 DPS, though, who is your front runner for MVP, Avril?
I mean, of the entire tournament, it's got to be Proper and maybe a course on the other side. But this particular game right now, my moan, particularly on that first map, the Venture came up through really well. Yeah, I mean, he clutched an entire fight off a Tectonic Shock alone.
All right, so Johnny, if a Venture comes out, do you think Merritt can handle it?
I think it's really difficult for Falcons. Again, I talked about it pre-game. My moan on the May and the Venture are going to be the difference makers. And you can see that GK, they're forcing these maps where Venture really excels, right? Circuit Royale, that was a perfect map because you don't need, Tracer is not going to be played here. And so that forces GK into their comfort. Now, as we look ahead here, Pocket, I actually do think that Falcons, they would be very wise here to pick Blizzard World or something like that. Ooh. Because Push, which is another mode that could come up if we're going to map 5, that is very much going to favor Falcons in this one. So there's no need to pick this one for map 4. They're actually going to go to Colosseo though, which is a really interesting choice because if we go to map 5, GK would get their choice.
GK would get to choose between Blizzard World, Eichenwald, and Midtown. Play the Prophet. I'm gonna go ahead and say we're going to a game 5. What do you expect that 5th and final map to be if Falcons can get us there?
Well, GK have the choice. They want to go to somewhere probably with a bit more dive. Blizzard World makes a lot of sense here. One of the reasons why Falcons might want to go to Colosseo is Esperanza has that dive capability. Okay. You remove that from GK, so Colosseo might not be a bad choice, actually.
I got to get the vibe here from the fans out in Riyadh. Are you guys enjoying the show? Who thinks Falcons can take us to a game 5? Who thinks GK is moving into the quarters?
That's a lot of boos, Pocket.
One team left to move into our final 4. This match will decide it. Map point, match point for GK. Falcons still in it though, Avril.
Yep, I think this is go to 5.
It's been a blast. We're done here on this stage. Let's send it back to the casters.
Thank you very much, Chris, Puckett. Nice to see you guys out there in the arena soaking up the vibes. Someone else has been doing that. It's this guy here. The Thunder from down under. Kuffer has been loving it out there. The adversity only seems to spur this team forward. And not only do we love a good Overwatch player, we love a showman. These guys are poised to play ultimate spoiler here not only dominating a Saudi team in front of a Saudi crowd, but doing it to last year's defending champion, Matt, that would be quite something.
It can be fun being the villain. And I tell you what, look, as a former Call of Duty coach, somebody who's a professional trash talker.
You were a villain, I think.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's like, you have to keep, like, the fans have to keep going for Falcons, even when it looks like it's gonna go sideways a little bit. Because the players on Geekay, look, they can't exactly hear what the crowd is saying, but they can
sentiment is felt.
They can tell the noise level, right? So they can tell, hey, if the crowd is nervous, the players on the other side of the stage are feeling it as well.
In fairness, I don't really think, coming into today, that North America was in the conversation here at the Men's Championship. So much of the focus...
When was the last time, this is probably never happened, we had an international event where we only had one team from Korea in the Final Four?
I mean, never in the Overwatch League. Let's start there. That didn't happen. Since then, I mean, well, look, with Falcons and Crazy Raccoon always being in the final,
right?
I don't think that would have been possible.
Like, you would get to the Final Four here, Geekay's able to pull it out with 2 EMEA, 1 NA, and 1...
That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. That is just ridiculous.
Avril's going to call up Sean Miller, and he's going to lobby. He's like, more NA teams.
Yeah.
Bring them all out.
My goodness. This Geekay team, and there's such an international squad as well.
Right?
One North American player, an Estonian, an Aussie, a Turkish player, a Welshman.
And this team had a great performance back at Champions Clash, right? You know, under the Nightmare banner.
Yes.
And
the best team at that event from NA.
Right. But you look at that and it's like, all right, what did they learn from that experience, right? And obviously in Hangzhou, there's a tremendous crowd there. He just crossed it
That's
on.
crazy.
That's wild. Hey, the sound, the richest man, hey, bro, the signs have gone hard here. But you look and, like, what did this team learn from Champions Clash? And it's like playing in front of those, like, hostile environments, those big crowds, right? Getting used to that feeling on stage. It's not a foreign feeling for these players anymore. Like, this is something they are now comfortable with, not scared of going up against some of these top teams in the world, because they feel like they truly belong.
You know, I uttered the words in the first map, a bit of a curse. I said, looks like we're in for a short day, Matt. That was very early called after the first round. I mean, it might be short, but I didn't really expect it to be going in this direction. And Johnny sort of talking about how he felt that Falcons would be better off leaving that push map towards map 5. This opens up, you know, Geekay to pick a battlefield that suits him a little bit more, but I don't know if I see any glaring disadvantage for Falcons over what remains in the map pool.
Well, you do that because, I mean, just looking at it, right, like you have Coliseo and Esperanza. You have 3 maps to be able to pick from in the other one, right? A little bit more optionality. So if you let's say take a hybrid map, if you're Falcons, right, on the opposing side, then they only have 1 or 2 to pick from, as you see a lot of the players from Geekay not on stage, so that's what we're waiting for here. With Esperanza, though, not being the selection and it being Coliseo, curious what we see. So we have the bans in here. A rare Life Weaver ban that's not a troll. They're like, we want no business in that yet again. We want to be out of the Life Weaver business if you're Falcons.
Pretty decent on Coliseo too. That pedal gives you some pretty interesting ways to access high ground, and just the fact that we saw it used to dodge a Graviton surge.
Yes, that was
blizzards. That was
they thought they were going to win that fight. Someone uses the grab, and they always win the fight with the grab.
And threw a bowler shot in.
Yeah, and they just got lifted right out of it.
In any other world, that is an instant fight win.
Yeah, and now you have the Orisa ban here for Geekay, so puts things in more of like a Ramatra, maybe Hazard, an option here. It's, I mean, just wild. I mean, if I would have told you this morning, like, hey, we're going to get that final game, and Falcons is going to be so worried after Admiral dominates Circle Royale and Life.
I would tell her to shut up and drink your coffee.
Yeah, no, that is something I would probably throw out there, and you would. That's actually probably exactly how the interaction would go. Yeah.
I would not have you uttering such blasphemy, and yet here we are. It's been a wild night. Twists and turns have abounded. Just waiting here, of course, to get the last Geekay player into the lobby. I'd call them out, but I'd never do that to Lethal.
Lifeweaver meta incoming. I mean,
so
I think we're a bit away from that.
I had a chance to shoot some social content with the teams earlier, and my question was, one of them was, are you a Lifeweaver believer? So I polled all the teams on what they thought Lifeweaver was good.
How many were Lifeweaver?
Surprisingly, most of them.
Really?
Surprisingly, most of them were like,
well, like
the right.
How many were trolling though?
No, well, okay. You never know with South Korean players. They like to have a bit of fun with you at your own expense. You can't always tell.
Yeah.
But many of them said, in the right contexts and in the right composition, this hero is low-key busted. Low-key busted. Because again, Lifeweaver also has a perk that increases his sort of healing capacity. So like obviously you hold down mouse 1, you charge it up. You can get some pretty, again, you can burst heal for like 100 every time. That is quite significant, and the rate that he can deploy that heal is really, really good. There's
the grip's got a little cleanse on it, right?
Right, which matters a lot. I think it matters. It matters conditionally, right? Just because quite often if you're life gripping someone, you can usually keep them alive. But in a world with biotic grenade is a problem, and even life gripping someone doesn't necessarily protect them. It's quite powerful. But you can cleanse other effects like the slows that you sort of get hit with, which can be annoying in some of those Mei compositions. Cleanse Pulse Bomb. Pulse Bomb can be cleansed off of that.
The issue with Lifeweaver is he's very diveable, right? Like if he had a little bit more survivability, I mean, he has it with the little bit of the dash.
Right.
But
also, Lifeweaver is very tall. Extremely tall, so his hitbox is quite high.
Yeah.
So somewhat easy to hit, and also the flower behind him used to make him a massive target. And even though they've reduced the hitbox size of that flower, he still is like a larger target as far as the sort of non.
Just another benefit of being short.
Yes, absolutely.
If Lifeweaver was a short king, I mean, he'd be dominating. He was the size of Torb. If you put Lifeweaver in a Torb-sized package.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a bit of a flavor fail. I just don't know if it really works with him. But
it wouldn't go with the
I would say there aren't too many Overwatch heroes that wouldn't benefit from being shorter.
Yeah,
that's
true. That's a good point.
Darwin's Law definitely doesn't apply in this game.
No, definitely not. It's, looks like still getting Geekay ready on stage. It looked like it may have been Lethal here on the end. He's seeing how long he can hold that water in his mouth. It looked like about 20 to 25 seconds there. Probably a ways off from the world record, but looks like we're able to get into game here, though. Falcons tournament lives on the line.
Yeah.
I mean, insane to think about in this scenario.
So to put this in context, they're close to the front of the pack in the club championship.
Yes.
They have been the most dominant team of 2024. They've had their struggles this year, but they have really invested in basically just getting a pool of like 10 of the very best players in the world, and they've cut them even down to 5. A loss in this game and an early exit from the mid-season championship would be unacceptable, unthinkable.
I mean, you have... don't even want to... I mean, you'd have to... you'd be rethinking a lot of things. You'd be wondering. You'd be... I mean, it's a brutal...
How are you supposed to improve on this team?
Brutal scenario.
How are you, what do you change? What do you add to make this a better team? Put a Lifeweaver player in?
So... you become the crazy Falcons, and you just merge into some, like 30-person roster.
Sure. I mean, talk about like the embodiment of this town ain't big enough for the two of us.
But I mean, look, obviously there's still a lot of series to play. They could dominate these next 2 maps, and this is a pointless conversation. But
we need to have it anyway.
They struggled, like they added these players, they struggled a little bit, right? They end up having to fight through the LCQ. And then like early on here, it seemed like everything had kind of, all right, we figured it out, we're all good. And then now you find yourself here in the single limb against Geekay. Lives on the line here. No sim for Falcons. So they're going to play Freya in Sojourn. We saw them do this the other day when we casted them on, it was Circuit, and it looked pretty poor.
It was a bit of, they were often fighting in some more claustrophobic scenarios. Here, far more of those straightaways on Colosseo to try and exploit.
If the sim can close this gap.
That's right, and that's exactly what Geekay are going to look to try and do. Kuffer pops up in their midst briefly, ducks back, he realizes the outside of this concourse is a little dangerous to poke out from. So it's all about getting Lethal set up to frankly win 1v2 against these long-range heroes. That's a lot to ask. But if the guy just taps into the console briefly, types the right things, becomes server admin like we've seen from him in the past, it's all on the table for Geekay.
And you also can't really play Venture on this map, right? It's a very long straightaway, not one that would excel to that hero's kit, as that's a TP up to the high ground here, getting Kappa in a position to try and push Proper back.
Yeah, so the question is, like, what is achieved in a Kappa's absence while he's trying to push up on Proper's position? He is away from the rest of his team, and it kind of opens things up for Merit, who finds his way towards Ultraviolet. It's a backline down already for GK. Not the start they were looking for it, and don't get me wrong, they were proactive, GK, looking for ways in, but it's really hard to get at this Merit and Proper DPS line in general.
Yeah, absolutely. As now the hit scans here, Falcons rise to the high ground, trying to deny some of this space from Geekay. They're going to put some sim turrets up here by the supports, as they're going to send Kappa down to the objective, try and contest.
Someone took a big hit there from a charged railgun. Kappa knows that behind someone there are some lower health targets as well, but right now he's trying to
really early beat, fast beat there from Chio.
And they've got a good disengage. Proper finds himself a little bit of a risky spot there. I think he knows discretion is the better part of valor once that sound barrier expires. And now GK have a chance to come forward. Kitsune Rush going to be applied. Maimon a little bit low off to the side. Bowler shot used here to try and keep GK away. Falcons have been able to repel them for now and keep themselves in the aggressive seat.
Yeah, but it's going to be both support ults gone here for Falcons. DK is going to be able to use this sim wall here, potentially sound barrier if needed.
Okay, Merit's gotten up behind him. I don't think someone's going to be able to get out alive. So GK have been able to leverage the sound barrier to get rid of the enemy tank. The rest of the Falcons, they repositioned away, but they were in no spot to help someone at all.
Looks like Fielder here going to wait, get a TP back to Proper as the bot now in Geekay control. Going to push it into Falcons territory. It'll be an overclock here from Lethal. They send him up to the high ground there with that TP, a little bit of a threat. Now putting shots into someone.
That overclock expires. Here's that annihilation from someone. He uses it defensively, and it doesn't work out. Admiral gets close enough to boop him on away, and that's the elimination on the centerpiece of the Falcons. What is going on? Falcons crumbling before our very eyes. It's so early in the map too.
I mean, I don't know what someone expected there. He's just standing in the corner, and maybe he's expecting Fielder and Chio to be able to help him from the opposite side, but the teleporter goes up. Those players are getting just pushed back by the annihilation of Kappa, and someone just kind of standing there blocking in the corner. I mean, nobody able to kind of get to him to keep him up. Proper now ditching the Freya, going to go over to try and trusted Tracer. Really one of the first times in the series we've seen him pilot it.
Falcons looking a little bit uncomfortable. We'll need to find a way to stabilize. They've given up the lead to GK, but the bot still remains very much within neutral territory. You'll note at the top of your screen there, Proper is on the flank now, switching off the Freya. Trying to threaten this backline, but against Lucio Kiriko, it's not always a simple task. And it's really a battle of both of these Ramachas trying to get past each other, get around each other, and Proper loses the fight against the backline. Admiral and Ultraviolet not only stave him off, they batter him.
And look, these fights, that choke, are great for Geekay. You just contest there, you start to build up towards support ultimates, you burn clock. You don't have a massive lead, right? But with the way they've been playing, they've been able to rattle off fights consistently here against Falcons in this series. So just getting the bot back into Falcons territory, and let's do that song and dance here in the middle of the map again.
Yeah, Falcons though, I don't know if the game plan can simply extend to wait until Proper finds an opening, because he needs help, he can't do it on his own. Sound barrier, that's a decent way to bolster the forces of Falcons, and they're able to run over GK.
They use both support ults on top of each other. So Kitsune Rush there from UV, and then it's Sound Barrier plus Rush for Falcons. The bot will continue to move here for Team Falcons. I don't know. We'll see if it's enough to be able to take the lead, as it looks like it's Maimon there going to TP everybody in.
Ball thrown up, the pulse spot was too close to Maimon, and he couldn't move away. Time to listen to GK. What's going on in the comms as we hit a fever pitch in this series?
Out. Ramp up right now. Yeah, they're gonna push.
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, they're gonna push. Don't sorry. Take lead. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm gonna proceed to fight.
Yeah,
can we walk left? Can we walk left?
Yeah.
Walk left.
Yeah, you can. Dennis has right.
I'm going for left.
I have Dennis too. Get pulse left. Get pulse. Dennis, I'm here. Dennis, you're supposed to.
Okay. I'm walking point now. I'm on point. Carry on down. Soy bottom right.
Soy.
Soy.
Time drop.
Soy one.
I volley.
Let go. Punch your arm. Ram point. I'm low.
I'm on point.
Ram's out. I'm on low. Okay.
Let's try them. I'll be soiled. Ska vi ta klar med B så?
Yeah. Try top.
Solo. Can we TP bend?
Yeah.
TP bend. 3, 2, 1.
Solo.
Sorry?
Nice.
Ram.
Arm.
Come in. Go.
I saw Ram. I'm on.
Trade point.
Look point.
Okay. Coming.
Get one. You carry B. Hello. TP one?
Yeah. TP one.
Matt, decent timing for that continuous sound barrier to combo to come back online for Team Falcons. GK do give up the lead there in the prior fight. And in trying to take it back, have now given up that checkpoint well and truly to Falcons.
Yeah, they try and use that sound barrier to push on in with that Sim TP. Falcons, they end up losing Merit, but they do a nice job keeping everybody else alive. The annihilation from someone ticks players down, and then a double support ult. No way EK can bounce back from that.
79 plays 51 now as Proper finally starts to get a bit of traction in this game. Slower start for him as his forays into the backline often proved unfruitful. But he gets rid of Lethal, a key part of the firepower core of GK. Makes it difficult for GK to defend this spot adequately. Now we'll see everybody drop down. Falcons happy to let the fight simmer a little bit here. That's a stick. Twice in quick succession. Proper's able to down Lethal, and now he's looking for his next target. Kuffer's very, very low, and in their own territory, GK are being strung out, hung, drawn, and quartered. Maimone trying to get towards the bot, and again it starts to shuffle away from GK. Here's a sound barrier. They've got to make good use of this one now as quickly they're able to overcome Falcons. They overwhelm them instantly. Someone interestingly opts to commit his annihilation to this fight. It falls flat.
Yeah, and you have a Kitsune rush here for Falcons, so it'll be Geekay getting control of this bot yet again. Proper just trying to prevent it from happening instantly, and he'll head back the other way as Lethal is tired of Proper just hunting him down on the Soj. We'll go to Cassidy here, so we'll see if he can kind of close this distance, right? You're going to lose that long-range battle to Merit in a big way now.
Quite the deficit to make up for GK. Not only a checkpoint, but over 30 meters is the lead the Falcons have now as we head under a minute and 40 in the game. Ultraviolet under pressure has to Suzu himself there. Merit playing from the fringes. It's a Kitsune rush coming down from GK, and they've got that annihilation in reserve. They don't want to spend too heavy in the middle of the map, but they might not have any choice now with their sound barrier out of Chio. Merit on an off angle. Can't see the wood for the trees apparently as Chio is down by the annihilation, but the rest of Falcons able to snap back into the fight. And Merit will return with a wide field of options. Maimone TP's out, and before he does, caught inside that vortex. Here come Falcons, not content to let this one slip through their fingers.
The Proper Tracer just causing havoc for Geekay. That's Lethal. It's like, how are they going to stop this? It's like, oh, hey, that's one way. Lethal flies around the corner. Headshots on the fielder and Merit, pushing Falcons all the way back. So what are you looking for here? Maybe like a cheeky TP with the Deadeye here? Type of action for Lethal and co. is don't really have much else to work with.
But he's very mindful of Proper at the moment. Proper who's now returned to the rest of Falcons for the time being.
Here's the TP.
Okay, and with the Deadeye. No targets though to find here. Lethal still trying to roll the dice. Nothing to see though. So Deadeye will expire. Lethal might look for a solo flank here. Chio, Fielder now both aware of it. That was a very early Suzu out there from Fielder, but it's worked out. It keeps them standing, and someone's going to slurp them down in the midst of the maelstrom. Falcons with a 5v3 scenario. See Kuffer just trying to gum up the works here, but it's nothing but desperation for GK, and they're out of options. Team Falcons, not to be outdone, will drag them kicking and screaming into a final map. One way or another, the Apex Predators will force you to make them bend.
No other way. Going to a Game 5 between Falcons and Geekay. That'll be Geekay's choice. We will be going to hybrid. So I don't think, all the heroes you can think of you'd want to see out and target it, right? We've seen the Tracer go, We've seen other, Lifeweaver go there. We'll see, what will happen and go to this ban process after the map selection.
This map felt like a return to fundamentals for Team Falcons. They do start with that Sojourn Freya look, right? Really trying to be oppressive at long range, but eventually Proper realizes that he needs to go back to what kind of made him famous in the first place. Get into that back line, put that pressure down, and at first it really didn't work out. Ultraviolet and Admiral are tough to drag down, especially if you are 1v2 as the Tracer, but eventually that war of attrition is won out by Falcons. They start to get out in front. Merritt might be the only player on this map credited with a 3K from a single railgun. He steps up here and tries to roll back the years. Some big pulses from Proper. On back-to-back fights, he's able to take Lethal down. That was about sort of 6 minutes into the game. That really takes the wind out of GK's sails.
Yeah, and you knew Falcons was not going to go easy. I mean, the pulse bombs from Proper, just unreal. And then even with some moments where Geekay had an advantage in terms of the ults, did not matter. Falcons able to kite and fight through.
And this is the point in a series like this, the most important one of these GK players' careers. Was where you find out what's at the bottom of the tank. Is it quality or is it dregs? The grit and determination that it takes to get through a series like this has already been showcased by all of these Falcons players multiple times over. It's that experience in these tight situations that counts for so much more in decider maps like this one. Like you mentioned, it's GK's map pick. And Hybrid, Johnny alluded to it, Matt. Blizzard World would be a good option for them if they want to try and play that more high mobility, up-tempo dive style.
Is that what they want to play, though? Now, you're thinking about Geekay, right? Playing Blizzard World. Don't have the bans in front of us. What would be like, you can't get rid of Tracer, right? Are you trying to look at Soj or maybe force Merritt onto like the Freya or the Cassidy for an extended period of time? You might remember off the top of your head, has Geekay banned, could Geekay ban Kiri?
Potentially.
Right? Take it out of Fielder's hands, make their backline a little wonky, and you could play BAP, with like Ilari if you are Geekay. You could play other, kind of Baptiste-based support lines.
I think they've really only targeted the Lucio over the course of the series.
Yeah, so potentially an option. I think we saw a Baptiste ban. I believe that was Falcons, though. So you can even, if you get rid of the Kiri, you can somehow try and fit in Lifeweaver if you want it, right? So curious what Geekay decides to do. Or maybe there's a thing where they have to protect the tank pool, right? Maybe they think that, Hazard's already been targeted, right? So
can't ban that.
Yeah, so they can't ban that. So there's no really reason to protect the tank. So curious where Geekay is settled here.
This is the kind of decision you don't want to make lightly. Blizzard World is picked. Well, heading in there momentarily. See if these bans are in fact the case. We've already had a Lifeweaver ban, so I think that's actually a Cassidy ban instead.
Yeah, those are old bans. No, so those are the old bans. So for Geekay, those headsets might not be great on stage because they're listening to me.
I'm sure, you're their one-stop shop for coaching advice, man.
They got rid of the Kiri, and then Falcons actually decides to get rid of the Cassidy. So on the other end of the spectrum, right, now forcing Lethal onto the Sojourn. I like the Kiri ban. I think it's really interesting here. Falcons, you want to play that Kiri, right, with the different compositions they want to play with, right? Fielder's so devastating on the flanks with Proper. I think it's a really good call.
I just don't think GK are going to be bothered playing any kind of backline arrangement. I do wonder about the Cassidy ban. I think that's something that we saw Quartz use to great effect on this very map.
Yeah.
Forces him maybe into something a little less familiar, perhaps. Lethal's been the kind of play that's gone over to Ashe in some scenarios, over in NA, excuse me.
So I mean, what you're looking at, you have potential of BAP with you could play Lifeweaver, right? You could play BAP Lucio. You could play the Baptiste with the Ilari on defense. It looks like Falcons, they'll play BAP Lucio. Nothing too surprising here with what they got cooking.
Fielder no stranger to the Baptiste. Although definitely in this era on Team Falcons, very much the Kiriko player. So knocked off of that preferred pick, as was the plan for GK. And like we mentioned, Hazard couldn't be targeted anymore. Baptiste had already been banned prior. Lifeweave had already drawn a ban. In fact, GK have been drawing a lot of support bans out of Falcons. Sign the Kiriko will be taken away. Lethal off the rip on the Widow here. Maybe just looking to ask an early question of Falcons. Have a peek around, see what there is to scrounge up. That was the wrong target to grip backwards. Admiral trolling. Here's the Soj.
Yup. And it'll be Bat Lucio here for Geekay. I think you can't play the Weaver here because you need the speed getting through the choke. I mean, it would be pretty rough. And you see it is...
What?
Oh, it is Kuppa wanting to play the Hazard. Gets around the corner. They get rid of Chio.
Basically the perfect pick. Getting rid of the Lucio here is massive now. There's no way for Falcons to control this high ground. GK basically get that for free once Proper's got to be cleared out. And so they begin this cap. What an opening. You just cannot count on that kind of stuff from your hit scan, and Lethal seems to be delivering it with uncanny frequency. Proper though challenges
and they don't step up onto the point, so that's going to be point.
Just take it out from under them. Some mistakes starting to creep in now. A long series and the fatigue turning up on the side of Falcons. And a black mark on the balance sheet for this Korean team as they give that one up all too easily.
And it looks like Kuppa wants to try and take advantage, right? Because a few players from Falcons were still here, so he wants to try and rotate fast, try and get high ground. It looks like Merit has already met him there, as they do not want to give up this positioning, does Falcons.
To win the series, Maimone's got to find success in a Tracer Mirror against Proper of all people. And Kuppa, you see, as the Hazard is ignoring someone, is ignoring the frontline fight, looking to dive solo in some instances. And someone's already able to find a key pick. GK, like, this is a tightrope you have to walk.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think Maimone's going to have to step up in a big way on the Tracer, right? We know what Proper can do. Lethal open things up with an early pickoff. If they can start with getting some high-level Tracer play, which we know Maimone can do, maybe on the flanks, right? Putting some more pressure on the fielder and Chio, things could open up here for Geekay.
All right, up on the siege tank. Not sure if this is the plan for Ultraviolet, but impromptu plans sometimes work out just right. Once again, though, Kuppa is very
so
detached
deep
from GK.
I mean, there's no possibility of even like a drone coming in from that range. So Kuppa does want to play aggressive, does want to dive, just needs to be a little more cautious there of his positioning to play around the rest of the squad.
And ideally needs Maimone to link up with him there, but Proper's playing coverage, just trying to make sure Maimone can't slip through these flank angles for free.
Pulse bomb there from Maimone gets nothing, trying to get it on the flank.
Can he just count on another random pick coming out of Lethal? There's the downpour. Not followed up upon. It's another ultimate that basically is thrown out the window.
They've gotten a decent amount of like cart progress though, right? The cart making its way, even without like a fight win, right? Making its way pretty far.
But GK are having trouble asserting themselves on this high ground.
They are not getting the high ground. They're not even close to it at this point. I mean, just kind of a battle of attrition on the low ground, just bullying the payload through.
Chio just opted to match sound barriers there as he saw it come out from GK, and even with that extra durability, Kuppa's not able to do too much on that high ground at all. Falcons starting to really tighten the thumb screws here on GK. We have no choice but to capitulate in another pretty unconvincing engagement.
I mean, without the first pick from Lethal and opening up that first checkpoint, I mean, they have done nothing. It's incredible they've gotten the payload thus far. Falcons giving up a decent amount of space, so Kuppa gonna go over and play the Ram, so we're gonna get a mirror matchup. I think this is a better decision. He was trying to push the issue a little bit, maybe too much on the Hazard.
Look at how we can command that space a little bit better. Eventually, though, he has to give up the high ground, and none of his DPS have been able to make severe inroads alongside him. Recalls there on the point. Proper went for a pulse bomb, but caught out Ultraviolet, and he had to use that immortality field to stay alive, and Kuppa again loses out in the front line. Lethal knows at some point he's got to make a play, but there's a lot of risk involved in that. He finds the one pick, but it's not enough.
And they amp Matrix there too. Ugh.
Surely it doesn't end like this, man. GK comes so far, so close to getting into these semi-finals, but here, they look like they've fallen into a stupor.
You lose Maimone here towards the end. Well, I mean, it's been a few fights in a row. You just consistently lose Kuppa really early. you have to be able to try and keep him alive with any means possible. Whether that means he needs to take it a little step slower, right? A little beat slower, or maybe everybody else, they need to kind of get on the same page, play with him. You need to keep this tank upright.
It is that extensive experience rearing its head for Team Falcons. How many times have they been at Map 5s on stages in front of rowdy crowds? More than almost any other player, any other team. It's the kind of fires they've been forged in long ago. There's Geekay are the upstarts, the interlopers, the plucky challengers. Merritt sees the immortality field and cares not for an Admiral, just blown up. He and Proper converge, and X marks the spot. Ultraviolet drops, and that's a backline absent now. As Geekay had hoped to advance the car a little bit further, but now without any healing to speak of, they're cooked.
I mean, this has been a 3-minute plus bloodbath here on our second checkpoint. Geekay with maybe an opportunity here. So you're going to be able to maybe build up towards that amp matrix and beat up on the high ground. You're going to have annihilation. Potentially, you're also going to have your overclock here. So
that is a lot of qualifiers,
and
a lot of
payload,
maybes.
And the payload is not far away from completing a cap.
We spotlighted Maimon on the Tracer, matching up against one of the most storied Overwatch players of all time. He's got to give us something special here. It's going to take some magic from Geekay. And this one is anything but. Once again, they are turned into paste.
Yes, everybody just trying to fall maybe here as soon as possible. You don't even get to use some of these ultimates on the high ground. It'll be on Maimon to touch here. 10 seconds on the clock.
They're going to try and touch Admiral! Captain of the SS Ajax goes down with the ship. And Team Falcons are more than happy to capitalize. Oh, Geekay. They surprised us, delighted us, but now their backs are against the wall, Matt. That is an anemic attack push in our decider map of this last quarterfinal.
Not ideal for Geekay. So what I will say is if they can put together a decent point A defense and control high ground, they did get like a decent amount, like the cart's not stopped underneath the first bridge, or like it is pretty close to that second checkpoint. Like you'll have a chance for people to flood out of spawn. I mean, you'll have an opportunity on defense here. You gotta win some early fights though.
Competitive Overwatch has really taken a turn these last couple of years. We talked about gaps closing for like 7 or 8 years, about as long as we've been doing this. And it was always kind of wishful thinking, honestly, as our South Korean teams sandbagged coming into tournaments saying they respected their opponents, maybe even feared them sometimes, and then just clean their clocks over and over again. This year, though, something has changed. In this era, OWCS finally, NA, MEA have stepped up.
What do you think of the hazard to start on D here for Geekay?
I mean, you got to try and challenge that high ground. You've got some speed. I think it makes sense. Geekay can give up some of those perches and retake them later on. They've got good mobility. Again, Team Falcons know exactly where their bread is buttered, and it never falls butter side down. That's the kind of team we're talking about.
I just think you're putting Kuffa in a really tough spot. That is Immortality Field already, and goodbye there, as a lot of damage down onto the players on Falcons as they decide to move through the choke and an early first pick.
I think that's going to be a part of the formula here for Geekay, right? Drop down early and often. Start these fights, try and catch Falcons when maybe they're strung out a little bit as they try and make it through the choke. This defensive dive style, we've seen Winston on this map in the past, and even like Hollywood, for example. You've got to take the initiative as the defenders.
If you're Geekay, just get this below a minute here on point A, right? Get it below a minute. You can play then at the choke, right? You can play high ground. Yeah, 2-3 fights. Still winnable here for Geekay.
Expensive for Falcons to get up through this choke. Someone is caught midway through, out of no man's land, and is forced to throw up the guard. Not a good sign. He's going to have the double back. Got himself a health pack. Now he'll step forward again. This is good. Geekay gets some damage, put some pressure down, fall back to a safer spot. Rinse and repeat. Fielder being challenged there. Can't actually safely assume the higher ground because Lethal will have a line of sight on him. Constant pressure on this backline. Fielder has to immortality field himself. That's a good result. Nemo is dealt with. Gio now under pressure. Lethal only now realizing the problems. Pulled up in his front porch and Merit from the off angle. There's too many variables for Lethal to try and control, and Falcons eventually break through. It's a small trickle that turns into a flood, and now they wash over the defenders for this first checkpoint.
Yeah, the drone just a little bit too late to save Lethal. He actually slides back across after some damage from Proper, and Merit just picks him up. So an opportunity here. I think if Geekay wants to hold on defense, I think you got to play aggressive. You got to play like at this choke. You see Kuppa walking up towards it. I don't think you can give up too much court progress here early on.
Kuppa has to be careful though. If he plays too heavily into the choke, it forces Ultraviolet to expose himself in order to heal him. Puts him perched up in that siege tank, which is dangerous against a player like Merit. So they opt actually just to play the corner game here. Kuppa tries to get himself a brief 1 versus 1. Slide back down, it's going to be an Ant Matrix in play. Oh, scary stuff! The downpour caught on the fielder. Oh, he wasn't safe behind a wall. He doesn't care about line of sight like that. That's a great pick. That is going to slow. Oh, buddy!
This is what you want to do. You want to get another, minute, 2 minutes off the clock here, right? You get another fight at like the first bridge, get control of high ground, and then if that all fails, then you get probably one junk one out the spawn. I love this decision to go fast if you're Kuppa.
I love this game plan. Again, it's the same. Be proactive, fall back when it gets risky. There's an annihilation from someone. He's trying to ignore Kuppa and go forward, but there's a sound barrier in play here for Geekay. Lethal with the high ground. Someone looking a little bit low. He's in trouble. Mymone's able to pull him down, and our eyes are on Chio. Lethal slides away. Proper is able to chase him down. No, and Falcons using the aggression of Geekay against them. And Kuppa cannot contest in this state. He'll have to succumb.
I mean, look, they get rid of someone. The issue is there is nobody to get rid of Proper and Merit. So even though they get the sound barrier out first from Falcons, Geekay holds on to theirs. They get a later one. The DPS duo of Proper and Merit showing their potential.
And that rope is getting shorter and shorter for Geekay. The buffer all but expired. They've done their best to slow Team's Falcons down, but now they get a taste for blood, this Korean squad. And they know exactly how to land this plane. Can't inch his forward a little bit further. It's an overclock here for Merit. Kuppa responds instantly, though Merit's getting topped up, and Kuppa takes too much damage. He's got to fall away. Mymone contesting the card to try and make sure no one sneaks it through, and Merit is playing conservatively, safely in fact. But there's the Ant Matrix, and immediately Kuppa ceases to exist. Mymone's at least able to extract his pound of flesh. A trade comes out, but AG.AL is the next to fall. And the Apex Predators keep their sights squarely on the summit. Downing Geekay in a knockdown, drag-out, 5-map affair. Pushed to their limits, but that's where this team thrives. They've made our mid-season championship semi-finals.
Few game buys here for Falcons in Riyadh, but they survive yet again. This one against Geekay, a bit of a surprise, and it goes all the way down to the wire. Geekay, they probably feel like they let that one slip a little bit, that one could have been their chance to make a deep run in an international event. But Falcons is not done here at the Esports World Cup just yet.
Geekay struck early.
Here we go.
Quick one for us. Someone ever the showman. Geekay struck hard early. Definitely had Falcons off balance. But a team of this caliber doesn't stay reeling for very long. Bit by bit, map by map, they drag the game back under their control and execute their prime directive. Win at all costs.
And I really think the second half of the series, as we got a little bit later into it, Proper playing the Tracer, never going to be a bad sight. There are moments where he just gets on that hero, and the other team, they have no real options, right? Just so good on that hero. Difficult to stop.
Falcons have made it through a brutal call, and there's more to play for, but for now they can rest. We're going to head down to the stage, hear from Zoe with Proper.
Thank you, Matt.